Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I'm Christophe NSANZAMAHORO from Rwanda, a postgraduate student doing Master of Environmental Science in the University of Diponegoro, located in Semarang, in Indonesia. Here in my video, you're gonna have a problem-based learning case associated with environmental pollution, environmental problem caused by electronic wastes, and our case study will be here based in my country, Rwanda. As you see everywhere around, the electronic waste are being generated at high rate due to used and non-recycled wasted electronic waste, where they come around from the material uses. So from that, they lead to many various and diverse effects according to the environment that cause environmental pollution, that will be causing the biodiversity, also biodiversity, the destruction of ecosystem, and so many others. We're going to have a further look on global river and especially Rwandan context. Having a look on the cause of electronic waste, their effects, their prevention methods, and mitigation measures that could be taken for fighting against the electronic waste pollution on the environment. These wastes have so many adverse effects on human by causing human diseases like neurological diseases, cancer, and so many adverse diseases that person may get from them due to their chemical composition that made them. They are also made to render the soil infertile due to heavy metals contained in them. In the agricultural sector, and also the wildlife may get them by eating the vegetables grown on the infertile soil that has accumulated those heavy metals. The microbes also in the soil, they may not work well, or they may die to the accumulation of the pollution of the soil due to those wastes. A bit far, let's have a look on them.
Though, we all know that electronic products contain electronic components that actually contain toxic substances, but we don't feel the necessity of handling it with care when it is no longer wanted or needed. As a result, the consequences of improper e-waste disposal in landfills or other non-dumping sites, it pose serious threats to current public health and pollute ecosystems for generations to come. The reason behind this, when electronics are improperly disposed of and end up in landfills, toxic chemicals are released, impacting the Earth's air, soil, water, and ultimately, human health. Even, the extraction of valuable metals from electronic waste can cause disproportionate neurological damage to larger animals, wildlife, and humans in the area. Secondly, the improper disposal of electronic waste is bringing a negative effect on soil, because when the soil is contaminated by heavy metals and flame retardants, the crops become vulnerable to absorbing these toxins, which can cause many illnesses and doesn't allow the farmland to be as productive as possible. Ultimately, animals and wildlife relying on nature for survival will end up consuming affected plants, causing internal health problems as the pollutants are harmful to microorganisms in the soil and plants. After soil contamination, if heavy metals from electronic waste leaked out, these may reach groundwater and then they eventually make their way into ponds, streams, rivers, and lakes. Through these pathways, acidification and toxification are created in the water, which can kill marine and freshwater organisms, disturb biodiversity, and harm ecosystems. If acidification is present in water supplies, it can damage ecosystems to the point where recovery is questionable, if not impossible. All of these effects directly create a disaster with the human body, like mercury, lead, cadmium, polybrominated flame retardants, which can damage the nervous and reproductive systems of the human body. That leads to disease and birth defects.
Our country, Rwanda, has set so many measures for e-waste management and against e-waste pollution for the environmental issue. It has been the first country in Africa to stop the usage of plastic bags. It has also set the institution Rwanda Environmental Management Authority for the regulation of environmental management and its protection, biodiversity conservation, and the wildlife. It's also in partnership with different countries, like EnviroServe with the biostatus, or for recycling of the e-waste material. It has also signed so many protocols, so many conventions for the environmental protection. Let's have a look for what's being done in Rwanda for the environmental protection.
Sorted, crushed, refurbished. Here in the outskirts of Rwanda's capital, the country's e-waste problem is being reckoned with one gadget at a time.
For dismantling, we do it in two categories: for removing hazardous and non-hazardous equipment.
This is the first e-waste recycling plant of its kind in Rwanda. Born out of a 10-year public-private partnership between the government and the Dubai-based company EnviroServe, this plant has cut 1,648 tons of carbon emissions since operations began last year and has the capacity to dismantle between 7,000 to 10,000 tons of e-waste annually, according to Mbera.
This is the biggest facility in East Africa. When e-waste reaches the factory, we start by doing the sorting. We test and see if they can be refurbished or if they can be totally dismantled and crushed. All those that are no longer useful, they are classified as e-waste. It's a problem. It's a global problem.
53.6 metric tons of electronic waste was generated worldwide in 2019, and that number is predicted to rise to 74 metric tons in the next 10 years, according to the Global E-Waste Statistics Partnership.
Globally, waste is increasing, and it is not only increasing in quantity, but also in its complexity and composition. So what this means is that municipalities and waste management companies are faced with challenges to manage waste because landfills are being overfilled.
Back in 2014, a study by the Rwanda Environment Management Authority determined Rwanda's importation of electronic equipment was growing at a pace of around 6% per year. Fast forward to today's COVID-19 era, businesses purchasing new devices and the new working from home reality will skyrocket e-waste output all over the world. That's according to a report published by Blanco Tech Group.
Since we started operations, we have been able to repair and refurbish more than 5,000 computers, which were sold to schools. We have recycled more than 4,000 tons of e-waste. We have created more than 500 jobs, but also we have started to repurpose batteries, lithium batteries.
For those in the value chain.
We build a sustainable e-waste ecosystem, for managing e-waste by looking at the whole value chain. Where does the e-waste come from? Who is using a lot of these electronics? But more importantly, by having this embedded in our policies and regulations. As we speak, the environment policy, which was passed in 2019, talks about circular economy. This is a new idea that was added to the environment policy.
Eric is part of the circular economy. As a former employee and graduate of EnviroServe Tech Training, he repairs and sells thousands of refurbished equipment while employing 30 young technicians in 2 store locations in Kigali.
When electronics get spoiled, you can go buy parts and replace them. That way, the gadget becomes functional again.
Recycling in Rwanda is boosting the local economy and helping the environment. Globally, it could become a $10 billion opportunity, according to the Global Monitor, which calculates that by applying the rate of extraction or raw material, about 17%, to the total e-waste.
So as we have seen in the video, everyone should be an ambassador for environmental protection by reducing the cost of usage of e-wastes or electronic waste. Everyone should use the 3R method: reduce, recycle, and reuse, by encouraging the recycling processes, the recycling centers. Everyone should collect the e-wastes to the collection centers set everywhere, globally, or whether here in Rwanda. We should be an environmental friendly person by building a public environmental environmental mind, environmental situation that all relate to a sustainable development and in a sustained environment that is well preserved and leading to non-climate resilient. The government also should plan for their policy how to protect the environment, the biodiversity, and the ecosystem. They should also emphasize on making decisions and putting their institution in charge of environmental protection, sign treaties, signing protocols for environmental protection, and also the wildlife or that how it could be well maintained. Thank you for watching. Thank you so much.